Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. I am coming to you hopefully with a bit clearer sound here. Thanks to my dear sound engraver who did give me for Valentine's Day a Focusrite sound processor, which is so cool because I don't have any of the weird cords here in my way. I'm not going to be tripping over anything or accidentally unplugging something. Do still need to get a good set of headphones, but my earbuds, these Raycon Bluetooth earbuds, are pretty good right now. A lot of people say they don't work well with streaming stuff like this, but they're working pretty well. So that's all great. But welcome tonight to, at long last, another installment of Kenobi, our book study. We did have to miss last week. Had a bunch of stuff going on. Still have a lot of stuff going on with my both teaching and my own studies, being sort of midterm season and everything like that. But welcome to everybody, and we'll get into welcoming the chat here in a moment. But first, let me go ahead and open the door for my my trusty TA as always, Mr. Al Baca. Welcome, sir.
Oh, tree friend.
Tree friend.
I don't know. I'm just. We were talking before. We were talking beforehand. I just kind of lost all focus of the Bacaness.
Forgot I did that little shtick, huh? I did set this up a little earlier, but I think I do have the first person in the chat there still. Melissa Harris and Sons, always ready to join in one of these streams. It's much appreciated. Horizon Talker, welcome to you. Right back at you. Happy Megatron says, happy day, fellow Autobots and Decepticons. Artificer Joni, welcome. Tom Spiegel, great to see you. Daniel Heron, welcome. Netters Network. Who else is here? Oh, my dear sound engraver. She said you started with your Focusrite. Ah, cool. Red for our love. It is red. It's red for our love.
I did have to bring that to his attention after the last stream, that he did not catch that in the chat.
No, it is too. Let me see if I can. It's a pretty sweet red too. It's pretty. It looks more orange on the StreamYard camera, but there it is. It's more of a darker without the glare. Pretty cool, working pretty well thus far. And yep, Sound Engraver's not gonna be able to hang out because she's not caught up on this book, but just popping in to show her support. Always love to have that.
Slacker. I'm sure if she had a little bit of time from last weekend to herself, she'd have been fine.
It really is a pretty kind of catch-22 I put her in, because as dating a professor, she gets homework, but then I take up all of her time and she can't do the homework. So
okay,
it's true.
You're not matching. Your video is kind of going weird.
Oh, I'm on StreamYard. Yeah, videos being if the video signal gets weird, I don't know why it would. There's no Wi-Fi vampires in the house tonight, but we are having a lot of snow and ice. So if that starts to get weird, I'll cut the video off. I'll bop it up and back down in a second, but we'll see what we can do. Where was I? Let me go back to the YouTube there and see about welcoming folks. Where did I leave off? Sound engraver. And she says, leave me alone. I'm finishing an album. Casey Scott, hey, good to see you. And Jedi Master Zetopia, welcome. Lots of other people watching, it looks like. Let me refresh my YouTube there and make sure that the video quality is coming through. If video quality gets clunky, I'll just take the video or the camera off. But I'm just so glad the sound, because see, I have another software that I record my videos through, and that the webcam quality is perfect in that software. It's actually the software that comes with the webcam, but the sound for the webcam software is horrible. That's why the last videos I've been making, either on this channel or Catholic Bible Geek channel, has been sort of echoey a little bit, and I haven't been able to figure out what it is. But now that I've got this processor, I can use that, and that should clear it up in that software. So yeah, looks like webcam's getting weird. I'm just going to go ahead and close the cam out, and we will just do this with my good-looking avatar. How's that work? Actually, if I've got Al Baca here, I might as well do the Han Professor Han here. Still got that. There we go.
Professor Solo.
Professor Solo. There we go. So good. Let's see. Where was I? I think we got Troopers in here. Trooper FN, bunch of numbers. But he said I could tell him Trooper. He did say that. So very good. Good to see you. Yeah, visually's child. Yeah, thanks, Netter. I don't know what's going on tonight. We did, we're in the middle of a big snowstorm. Is Al? Did you get any snow up there, Al, or ice?
We were getting ice, sleet, hairy little tappity tap 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 on the roof, but
Mhm.
yeah, we were getting a little snow, but nothing. I mean, just enough to, you know, make the walkway white and cover the grass a little bit, but it's already gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the rain and whatever beat it back down. But thankfully, we never lost. Not knock wood, never
Mhm.
lost electricity. So, which is shocking around here.
Yeah, we haven't lost electricity or internet, and I could not be happier. I am got like my alarm set for every hour, say another prayer for it.
Mhm.
But it's good so far. See, Wolftown Media and Green Lion Girl are with us now. Welcome, welcome too. But all right, let's go ahead and get in then to Kenobi and kind of refresh ourselves from where we left off. We are opening tonight Kenobi book study here by John Jackson Miller. We're opening with chapter 25, book 3 actually, part of it. And in book 2, we ended book 2 with Callie, Annaline's daughter, Annaline, the woman who owns the little cantina there. Her daughter was spying on Ben and heard him doing his meditations, trying to communicate with Qui-Gon. So she overheard him say his last name, Kenobi, and didn't really get to see much more than that. He was holding Anakin's lightsaber, but she luckily didn't see that. And she, of course, being a teenage girl, just decided to go ahead and blab at everybody who his last name was, because she's enamored with him. She's infatuated with him, to say nothing of her mother, Annaline, being a little infatuated with him, too, which is a little weird.
She had a little bit of information that nobody else knew, and it made her feel significant to say it, to tell other people.
And somehow closer to him, too, being infatuated with him. So,
yeah, not at all. Not at all. Not at all weird. Spying on a guy in the middle of the desert who is talking to himself.
Well, it does help his incognito, though, because now people just kind of think of him as crazy old Ben, which is what we hear Luke talk about him in in episode 4. So in the future. But Ben does leave. Kenobi does leave the cantina there because things get a little hairy. Oren, who is who's the kind of the sort of the leader of the community there, Oren Galt, the leader of the settlers' call and whatnot, he gets a visit from these gangster thugs, basically. And they come in, have a talk with him. Their Gamorrean thugs are in, making the mess of the store, sort of. And Orion comes out and starts to posture a little bit for everybody that was there. Says, "Oh, they're just some thugs, and they're not going to shake us down, because we stand together. We're like family out here. The settlers' call works, and blah blah blah." And kind of I think he puts his arm around or something. Says the word family, looking at Annaline, because there's been some speculation as to, are they to a couple? Will they? That kind of thing. Of course, Ben's the new blood in here, and has her eye.
He's basically peeing all over Annaline.
He's marking her. Yeah. And he basically very gently, politely dismisses Ben from the store, which Annaline doesn't like at all. So that's the last we hear in book 2. Ben takes off. Ben's back at home now, and he's doing a last meditation, which he says, obviously, I'll be doing these silently now from now on. And he says that he's not going to go back into town anymore because just things keep happening. He needs to stay away from that area.
Right. But Oren, as far as the visitors that he had, is one of the first times we've really seen him shaken.
Yes. Yeah.
He's pretty cool. Up that, even when things were falling apart, he still had that little bit of swagger, but these guys threw him off. And I thought that was an interesting. I mean, I know why now, but it's kind of interesting at the time.
It's an interesting technique narratively because Miller here is using a handful of narrative perspectives. So he juggles in between Annaline, Ben, and Oren's perspectives. And when it comes to Ben or Annaline, he doesn't mind giving us a little bit of their past when it comes to their interiority. When it comes to Oren, whenever we're in Oren's perspective, we only really get what Oren's thinking about that exact moment. We never get any sort of exposition about Oren, anything that matters really. We get a little bit about his wife died or whatever, stuff, or left him rather. But but we don't really go too far in. And you're right, we do see him. He's kind of the one who always has to stay confident and cool. He likes to show himself as to be the big businessman. It always has to drive a nice speeder and wear the nice clothes, try to schmooze the possible clients and whatnot. And he does try to manage crises when they come. But when these gangsters came, he was, for a moment he didn't know what to do. Now, I handled it pretty well once they left, and he kind of explained it off well. But yeah, as you said, definitely sort of marked Annalene for himself, and we'll see why. We'll see what's going on here. But as we open chapter 25, we move back to Plug Eye or Yark, her perspective. And we find out it's a really short little chapter, but it's a cool bit about the I see. Soundegirl says she ignited her blue lightsaber for the Kenobi book study. Very good. Very good. We found out a little bit more about Sand People lore and the creepy, painful idea about when they get a lump in their wrappings. Like if a pebble gets caught in their wrappings, they do not take off their wrappings at all. Babies, newborn babies, are taken from the womb and given their wrappings. And that's, you stay in wrappings all their life. So if a rock gets in it, you just wrap it up again, and that little develops.
How does a baby? I mean, how? Like, you think of like what does it do to their growth?
Mm-hmm.
Like as a child matures and grows. I mean, with an adult, you don't really change, but from a baby through the late teens, how do they deal with the wrappings like that?
Well, you can imagine that they're human, but they're going to be stunted in growth, their joints and in development, probably spinal issues and stuff like that. You can, and they're just a warring people, so they probably don't have very long life expectancies anyway. But yeah, you can imagine that'd be a wicked way to grow up. Definitely. So we get that little bit, but that little bit of lore, juicy as it is and disturbing as it is, also kind of helps us. It gives us a gateway to have a little bit more of a flashback to the Jedi that did become a sand person, and the adopted or kidnapped rather human that ended up growing up with the Yark as a sister, who had taught a Yark a bit of basic language so that she can actually translate or communicate a little bit with Ben. So it's a nice little chapter just in a Yark's perspective. It's very short. And then we jump to chapter 26, in which we are, we're in Oren's perspective again. So we saw things start to kind of go south for Oren a little bit when the gangsters came into the cantina. He fixed it, but now we're finding out that his evaporators, because he's a moisture farmer, and just like in New Hope, we learn about moisture farmers on Tatooine. They have farms, but what they're farming is water from the air. So they have their evaporators, and his evaporators aren't giving a yield anything like they should be this time of the season. And it's not as sweet either, because we remember that Annalene's evaporator that her late husband had set up was just the sweetest, the coldest water ever. And those settings were never changed after he passed away. So Oren's been trying to replicate those settings on his own evaporators, and it worked to a certain degree, not quite to the same level, but Ben was quite shocked when he tasted the cold, sweet water. But now something's going wrong. The evaporators aren't working well. He's having trouble there, and that's income, right? That's his money. That's his cash crop, for a harvest. Yeah. So things are going wrong for Oren.
Yeah, it's like locust coming through and just eating everything.
Yeah. And it's if you notice, these chapters are really short chapters consecutively, because Miller's ramping up some tension now. He spent a long good time establishing the world of Tatooine for this story, and how Ben fits into it, and the introduction of characters to each other, to us, and so forth, and really set it up well. But now is the part where you've really got we need to ramp up to a climax ultimately. And once you start that build up, you can't cut the pacing again. You've got to keep that pacing steady, and you have to increase it at regular intervals, as a writer, as someone who's plotting out the tension here. Daniel Heron for $2. Thank you, sir. Says it's Tusken Raider. Sand person isn't PC. That's right. That's right. It's Tusken Raider. I don't know. Raider. That's not very polite anyway. But maybe we'll say belonging aggressive or something. I don't know. Yeah, some silly thing. But so Mullen his children are asking him, "Are we in trouble? What do we do?" And he gives this kind of cryptic answer. Well, there's all Granddad always said there's two ways, two solutions to every problem, and you work on both of them at once because when one goes bad, you'll have the other one as a backup. So he's up to something. We know he's up to something. Oren is an interesting character because at first he was kind of a schmoozer, but you didn't not like him. You know, you understood what he was going on. He was trying to lead the community. And Ben even liked him at first. Then with the massacre that they tried to do for the Tusken Raiders, he's got me saying Tusken Raiders now, Sand people that attacked the cantina there. He showed his true colors a little bit. You know, he's willing to annihilate a people if it means protecting his kind of setup there. So Ben's a little concerned. So we know that Oren's a little shifty. Something's going on here, but we don't know to the extent of it or how much or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end of that chapter. Now we jump to chapter 27, and I love chapter 27. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering is about because his evaporators aren't giving the yield that they were. Is there something going on in the environment, or is there somebody messing with equipment? Because they're saying the equipment's fine. I was just wondering if that was something that might be answered.
Yeah, it does say the equipment's fine. All we're told here at this point is though it's all because we know that Annaline's evaporator was damaged when the Tuskens attacked the cantina, and it's almost as if that sort of broke the blessing or something, you know. But no, there's no real rhyme or reason for it that they can. But you know, we also know too that sometimes you know it's how much moisture's in the air that time of season, and that can vary too. So so that's all we know at this point. We do find out that I forgot to mention the Sand people have stolen one of Ulbrich, the old crotchety Ulbrich guy who's a holdout in the Settlers' Call funds. He's the one who's they stole one of his evaporators, and Yark doesn't really like that at first, but she takes it in. So they've got a stolen evaporator, and that shows you too that Yark has said many times our traditions have to change. Our numbers are dwindling so much that we must do things new ways, and we've seen her adapt their traditions various ways throughout the book thus far.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when Warren finds out because he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." You can just hear the sarcasm just dripping.
Yeah. Maybe you're the weak link, and they found out that. Maybe you should sign up for the Settlers' Call. Of course, and Ulbrich refuses. Yeah. Chapter 27 I like because we talked about how Miller's written this book as a Western. You know, he's using that sort of subgenre within the space opera, you know, genre. It's a Western, but it's also that kind of Hallmark style love triangle with Annaline, Oren, and Ben. Now, not a traditional love triangle because we know that Ben's obviously not interested, but that backdrop is there. And in all of those movies, Al, you know, because you love Hallmark movies, I know. In all of those kind of love triangle movies, the woman always has to have a kooky best friend who sees things a lot clearer than the main character does. And that is Lily, our Zeltron. We talked about Zeltrons are...
Sometimes the guy has the kooky friend too.
That's true. Yeah, one of them, whoever's the one who has to decide, whoever's got the two possible lovers has got the kooky friend usually. And sometimes they both boo, but Lily's really filling that role well. And she's a Zeltron, which means that her race, you know, got the pheromones going. They're constantly sought after for love and feel good and all that kind of stuff. But she's married with children. She shows up, and poor Annaline has been hanging from the ceiling for a while. She decided to whitewash the whole ceiling from the blaster marks, and she's just been going. She's just got so much energy. She's been doing X, Y, and Z all the time. And Lily shows up with some of her art pieces, little sculptures and art pieces that she sells and sends them out. And Annaline asked her, I'm just going to read some of this dialogue because I think it's so good. Annaline asked her, you know, who are these for? You know, how do you find these people? And ex-boyfriends, the Zeltron said, smiling primly. She ran a crimson finger down a digital list of names on the manifest she was holding. They're still fans. Of your work or you? An artist tries not to ask, Lily said. You could use a hobby yourself, Annie. You've been a bundle of energy for the last few weeks. What's going on? So Annaline says a few things, you know, this and that. Oh, so much has happened or whatever. She says, look, the big things in my world are never going to change, but there's a lot of little stuff I can fix, and I might as well get to it. Phooey on that, Lily said. I say you haven't seen Ben since he ran out of here that time, and it's driving you up the wall and onto the ceiling, she added. Annaline rolled her eyes. Really? She said icily. What makes you think that? Because you haven't just given my latest masterpiece. Because you've just given my latest masterpiece a shipping label for something called the Kenobi system. Good classic love story, tropes there. Annaline looked at the letters she'd absentmindedly printed, blushed. Oops. It's okay, Lily said, gesturing to the mislabeled package. It is a fertility statue. I like that's kind of cheesy and it's cliche, but Miller knows that it's cliche. It's not like he's a weak writer relying on a cliche. He knows what he's doing. He's weaving these different subgenres into the story, and he knows what little elements have to be there. So it's really smart writing.
And also when you think about it, we talk in cliches all the time.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So it'd be a natural thing to say. Although I think it's funny that in a galaxy far, far away, someone knows the word phooey.
Phooey, yeah. Now they get to talking about Orin a little bit. And Lily says, "You've kept Orin at arm's length for years," Lily said, "and he got used to it. But now that there's another suitor for Princess Annie, he has to make his move." Annaline cast a horrified glance at the officer door. "I don't want to make his move." "Is that so?" Lily smirked. "I think you want Orin interested, so it'll force your mystery man to do something." And then she says, "You're mentally ill," Annaline said. "Seriously, what is it with you Zeltrons? You'd matchmake for droids if they'd listen." "They do listen, Annie. That's why there are so many droids." I just love this character of Lily the Zeltron.
Yeah.
It matches fits that mold perfectly. But we find out that Orin is dressing up in his Sunday best, again to do some business dealings. But he gives Annaline a letter for her birthday. Her birthday's not until the day after tomorrow, but he gives her this letter, says don't open it until later when I'm with you or whatever. And then we close the chapter out with another one of Kenobi's meditations to Qui-Gon, and he's talking about feeling kind of foolish for letting himself be overheard and so forth. And he does say that he says, "It doesn't seem the girl overheard anything too revealing or saw me holding Anakin's lightsaber. The Force was with me there, and there are apparently a number of people around whose names sound like Kenobi, so nobody's drawn the connection yet. Still, I can't take any more chances. I was getting too drawn into the lives of the people at the Oasis. It's ironic. You were the one who always told me to focus more on the living Force, the lives of those around us, rather than the big picture that Master Yoda subscribed to. Living here, getting involved in this little world with its little dramas, it's been enlightening. I missed all this rushing about to save the galaxy, seeing that for many people, the smaller struggles are just as important to them as the larger ones are to us. It was a good lesson for me to learn." And I like that he's grounding it in Star Wars lore there again, because that was a classic difference in the EU between Qui-Gon and Yoda in the movies, and also even the Clone Wars series. And it was the idea that Qui-Gon subscribed to the living Force, which as he described there is the people around you, whereas Yoda and another view of looking at it is the cosmic Force. And Yoda would often talk about the universe itself and everybody connected in general, so not so much the little struggles or whatever.
The ground.
And it's a valid dichotomy.
When they are in Dagobah, the ground, the ship. I mean, everything, even the inanimate, is part of the Force.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I haven't gotten into a lot of the EU material yet about Qui-Gon's life as a Jedi, training and Obi-Wan and stuff like that before Episode 1. But I understand that that's good. That's well developed. So it's a good stories awaiting me. Okay, so chapter 28 we open, and now we are we're with Annaline and her children, Callie and what's her son's name? Jabe. They're in a van, a speeder van there, basically a truck or whatever, driving to Mos Eisley, because we find out from their talking and looking at the card that Orin has given her a speeder. We remember that his daughter Vika wrecked Annaline's speeder, and rather than just pay for it to be replaced, he's actually given her a new speeder. She has to go to Mos Eisley to pick it up. So that costs some money. You got to think some things about Orin. He's dropping little hints and mystery things here. And it gets Annaline out of the cantina that day, the Oasis. He brings in the Shistavanian guy to man it for himself there, man it for her while she's gone. She's going to have a dinner and everything like that out in Mos Eisley with her children to pick up her new speeder. On their way, though, who should they pass by with an Eope that won't get up and move, but Ben. And
of course, Callie was the one that spotted him because she's
Mhm.
got a radar for Kenobi.
Yep. Anything that looks like Kenobi, she's constantly thinking about it, looking. What was Ben's Eope Rue? You know that he's got a good relationship with Rue. She's responds to him and through the Force and everything like that. He can help her through the Force to encourage her to run a little faster, go a little longer, or whatever. But now suddenly she's not listening to him. So that's weird. That's something new.
Mhm.
And when they get there, I do like this fact that what they find out is wrong with her, and Annalene knows immediately. Even Callie knows because Callie's been working with Dubex and stuff like that. The Rue is pregnant, basically. And Ben, not knowing what the gestation period for, Eopies are or whatever, didn't realize that she could still be pregnant even if he bought her, a certain time ago or whatever. But that adds to our theme of motherhood. Remember, we've been talking about that. Annalene with her children, or just legacy of children too, because Orin with his children, the next generation, the Bantha that was attacking Ben's Hubble there, he thought it was his mother. And Annalene was talking about children and such. And then we've got now the Eope pregnant as well. So, and Ben himself there to watch over the child. The hope is in the next generation. So this is a theme that Miller's weaving in throughout the tale, and he's doing it well. If you're not really looking at it and thinking about it, it's not going to hit you over the head. But if you start to look for little threads like that, then you are going to pick it up and tie together themes, which is good.
But I like the fact that Annalene's like, "Hey, you made a good deal. You got 2 for 1."
That's right. Yeah, 2 for 1.
Congratulations, Grandpa. I like he calls him Grandpa.
Congratulations, Grandpa. Yeah. Wolfden Media says, in real life, I'm kind of the doty best friend in the Hallmark romance stories. Yeah. Yeah. Well, once you're happily coupled off yourself, then you're the best friend. That's how that works. Samuel Project says, after reading Darth Plagueis for the first time, I really wanted to see a story of Qui-Gon, Dooku, and Sifo Dyas. Yeah. Good stuff there. I haven't gotten to Darth Plagueis yet, but it's on my list there. I've got it on my shelf. So we end this. We do, of course, they prevail upon Ben for him to travel with them to Mos Eisley, and they're a little worried. It's kind of like Callie bothers me so much that I smirked a little bit. I was like, yeah, take that. When she realized you're buying something from someone else, you're not coming back to our place. Like, yeah, you little twit. You told everybody his last name. Like anyway, but
yeah, and I like basically he's trying to get his air conditioner fixed. His coolant.
Yeah, he's trying to get his
coolant pump.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, man, you would need that desperately on Tatooine, I would think.
Yeah. You don't live in the desert without, and we've already drawn some similarities between Miller's treatment of Tatooine and Herbert's treatment of Dune. It's not quite the extent, that was, of course, but yeah, there's similarities and stuff. So yeah, you need to stay cool, need to stay hydrated and whatnot. And that's part of the culture that they live in, and that's shown there. So he does end up, going with them into town to fix his coolant or whatever, and they'll drive him back. At the end of the chapter, though, we jump back to Orin, back at Danar's claim, the oasis there, and he's talking to the Shistovanian guy that he's got there, their old friend, to man the place for the day, and Orin's going around taking measurements of the claim, and at the end, before he leaves at the end of the chapter, he says, "No, I'll be out most of the day," he said, giving the store a last look, but tell Annalene I'll have something to talk to her about tonight. So mystery's there again. The mystery increases. We jump into chapter 29, and we're with Annalene finally there in Mos Eisley. And they're walking around. We get a little good sense of the town life. It's a good mix because Miller's been showing us nothing but small town life and rural life and out there in the isolated desert, but now we get the big sort of city life as much as a Tatooine has to offer anyway, and it's Mos Eisley. I love the Ithorian wedding. They get wrapped up with some Ithorians come out and they grab Ben and then grab Annalene to dance with them, and then Ben's like, you don't want to get in front of a dancing Ithorian or whatever, because they're the ones, I don't have my camera on, so I can't show you the images from my Star Wars Alien book, but the Ithorians are the big sort of huge-headed neck ones. What's that?
They're the hammerheads.
Yeah, let me get a picture here.
I'm trying to think if that's what they said.
Yeah, they do call them that sometimes, but I'm trying to find a good picture of an Ithorian. Yeah, here's an authority. Let me.
Yeah, the hammer-headed Ithorians, because the original Star Wars, they had the one character, the hammerhead.
That's the picture I've got here that I'm trying to show. I'll keep this tab up because I can show you another couple of aliens that are coming up. But yeah, these aliens are dancing around with them. The funny thing though is that it's a wedding, of course. So then the Twi'lek dancers come out, the servants, are there for the wedding party or whatever. And Jave says, I'll stay right here. Scantily clad Twi'leks come out. And then even Callie, she sees the male Twi'leks come out, dancing and serving and whatnot. So they want to stay there. So that gives, look at that. It gives Annalene some alone time with Ben. They go to this restaurant that she had gone to with her for her honeymoon, actually, back before. So then at the end, we end the chapter jumping over to Oren rather. He's there in Mos Eisley too, we find out. So Oren's there with his children, Vika and Mullen. And he's got something going on. They're looking. He goes to some bankers, and something didn't work out, as well as he thought, or whatever. And he's going to go to a meeting here pretty soon. So then we jump to, again, building that tension. I could easily just tell you the whole story, but I'm just trying to show how Miller has plotted it out with the end of each chapter. And these are shorter chapters too, because that builds tension, just like shorter sentences. Yeah. If you read a paragraph and suddenly the sentences are a lot shorter. Now, if you did too long like that, it'll just make you it'll sound robotic and turn you off. But if you're reading a story that's got a good variety of sentence structure, and then suddenly you get to a paragraph that's a lot of shorter sentences, it builds up tension. And hopefully you do that around something that's giving tension in the story as well in terms of matter.
Hold on, I gotta mute for a second.
Okay. But anyway, my point is that these chapters will go when they're slower, when they're shorter too, the reader gets a sense, even if subconsciously, that we're building up to something. So we move to chapter 30. Chapter 30, we have a good talk between Annalene and Ben. He's, of course, staying sort of reticent again. Not going to give too much there, but they do have a good talk. We do find out something important, though.
Sorry.
They look out. That's okay. They look out. They're on the balcony, and they look out. They're about to leave, actually, and they see two stormtroopers, or some people, not stormtroopers, and some people in Imperial outfits looking at a building. Now, Ben's obviously going to try to keep clear of that because he doesn't want any entanglements there. Imperial entanglements, as he says, in New Hope. But she says, they're looking over the embassy. It was the Republic and embassy on Mos Eisley, so they're probably just looking over their new property or whatever, being that they're taking over the old Republic now. But then we jumped at the end of the chapter again across town. So we see how the structure is. We've been with Annalene in her perspective, with Ben, with the children. And at the end of these chapters, we just get a little bit more of Oren's story here. And he gets stuck up basically by Mojo, what's his name? Bojo Bupa, the alien who came to him in the cantina there in Danar's Claim. He ends up taking him by gunpoint to go see Jabba because Oren has scheduled a meeting with Jabba. So this is, again, the tension. Then it ends, wrenching it up. Now we get to chapter 31. Annalene is they're in the speeder. They're closing the deal. What's that?
I just had one question. Sorry, I had to go off something I was getting talked to. But Oren's up to something, and he doesn't want to run into Annalene.
Nope.
He could have planned it better than to not actually have her at Mos Eisley at the same time. Just seems a bit.
Well, he also wanted her out of.
He wanted her out of the claim, but it just seems like he was taking a risk by them going to the same place, having her in Mos Eisley and not wanting to. Just saying.
You'll find out why it was. There's no other way to get her out of the claim, right. So he had to get her out of the claim. And then you'll find out as we get into it a little bit more.
Okay, just wondering.
But yeah, it's a mystery. He's building tension. He's providing that, so he doesn't want to run into Annalene. We do open the chapter. What did I say? We're on chapter 31 now. They're closing the deal on the speeder that Oren has bought for her, and Jabe wants to drive it. It's kind of a good little, tension building moment too. It's like, and this is classic movies too. Like if you're going to have a coincidence, if they're going to run into Orin there, then you might as well have a big coincidence and have Owen and Peru and little baby Luke there as well. So Annalene recognizes them because he'd been in the store or whatever at one point, even though they live quite a farther ways away. And once let's call them over, and then suddenly their speeder mysteriously takes off out of nowhere, and just the clutch goes down or whatever and takes off, and they're yelling at Jabe for it after they're ways away, and there's no hope of going back and finding Owen and Peru or whatever. And suddenly Annalene's yelling at Jabe. Jabe's like, I didn't do anything. And Ben speaks up, no, I saw it. Nothing did. It wasn't him. Which is fun for us to know, because we know a lot more than the characters do at that point.
Yeah, and actually, you got to give it to Ben. He doesn't let the kid take the blame.
No, exactly. He could have easily done it because James been a little twerp to him. Yeah. So then we get back to Orin again. A very short little moment of Orin there at the end of the chapter, where he's approaching and he's going to inside the Jabba's hideout there, and then that ends chapter 31. In chapter 32 finally we open with Orin's perspective. So subconsciously you've just been getting a little bit of this Orin mystery at the end of each chapter, and then finally you're ready for a good full chapter in Orin's perspective, and we can see what's going down. And it is a good fulfilling adventure that happens here. Quite a bit happens and quite a bit is told.
And I like when he comes up to the door, we get that wonderful reminiscent of Return of the Jedi with the little orb on the thing come out.
Exactly.
A tease.
Yeah. That little what's it called? It's an orb. I think they call it something in here. I forget.
This is black sensor orb.
Yeah. Black sensor orb. Yeah. But anyway, that's the little doorman basically.
Yeah.
So they go in, and I've got a image here. Let me show you. Mosep is a Nimbinal, and Nimbinals. Let me share the screen again. In the book here, he's described as almost simian looking, but I'm trying to find a bigger picture. Yeah, there's that. We've seen them in the movies before, Return of the Jedi. We've seen them before, and they're certainly been in like Clone Wars cartoons and stuff as well. But Mosep is a Nimbino. He's described as simian, somewhat simian looking. And was it Bojo?
Boopa?
Bojo Boopa calls him Space Monkey or something like that, right? At some point. I think it was funny. But he is Jabba's right-hand man, basically. And he is the one who does Jabba's dealings. And Orin's pretty put off. You see Orin at first trying to be like a tough guy. No, I made this meeting with Jabba. Where is Jabba? And he's Orin's trying to claim the power. It's always drama building when you've got two different characters trying to claim power in the situation. And it's even kind of tragic is what happens here. We realize Orin has no power here. Mosep has got all the muscle of Jabba behind him here. And Mosep's an interesting character because he's trying to be polite. Well, quote unquote polite, right? In terms of speaking, he's very civil in his speech, and he starts to say some things about how much money Orin owes them. We find that out now, and he says, "But I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. You called this meeting or whatever." And Orin comes in, kind of throwing his weight around, like, "I don't want any more thugs out at the claim." Blah blah blah. Trying to give stipulations or whatever, lay down the law, and that's just not going to work. In fact, Mosep says, "If you want out, you know what? We want out. Therefore, you have to pay us. You didn't pay us as much on your last payments. You have to pay us double the amount this time." And I forget what it was, like the next month or whatever, to pay us completely off, whatever. And, Mosep's an interesting character because he's not emotional about it. He's 100% business. He tells him, and it's evil because he's about to torture him here, because of punishment for getting lower payments or turning in lower payments than he should have or whatever. But he's very calculating, he's almost a little Thrawn-like, nothing on that scale, but the same kind of concept. He says, "Look, you're a creative guy, and another time we might want to do business with you, but Jabba's in need of cash now," because he's wanting cash on hand to possibly bribe any of the Imperial forces he might need to who are coming there. So I'm not going to go through it too much because it's a fun exchange they have, and it's good writing. And it ends up there at the end of the chapter with Mosep saying, "Oh, you do need to be punished. You've got this time to pay it back." And he says, "Let's see. Well, as you've done us the convenience of coming here, you can be punished for that right away." Orin dropped his hat. "What?" "Smash his hands," Jork said, cackling. "He won't need that swank drivey anymore." "Nah," Poopa said, slapping the Clatunian in the chest with the back of his hand. "Smash his legs. He spends time in the store. Everything he needs is just to crawl away." "No, no, no," Mosep shook his head vigorously, his face disappearing in a blur of whiskers. "This gentle being still has a day to find payment. We can't allow punitive measures, however just, to impede his mobility." Mosep looked Orin over. "We'll give him an hour with the nerve disruptor in the basement." "Sir, what shape is your heart in?" Orin's eyes bulged. I suppose we'll find out," Mosep said, nodding to the guards. "One for the show, please." Then he beckoned toward the droid standing by the doorway. "I'll watch the feed from up here. Can you bring me some calf?" I mean, that is wicked. And then that's the end of the chapter. So this is some heavy stuff, you know. And you think about this all in one story. We go from Hallmark love triangle, fun, kind of cutesy, to, you know, loan shark
Torture.
thugs about the torture guy.
I wonder if the nerve
I mean,
disruptor.
this in Star Wars is the what's that?
Just with the nerve disruptor, I was wondering if that was basically what they were using on Han.
I think so. I think so.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, I do think so. Something similar, at least.
Yeah, it doesn't
And
it does no physical harm. It's just pain.
mhm. Now, chapter 33 opens. One of the things we did establish when he was giving us the setting of this is our last chapter for tonight. When he was giving us the setting of Jabba's lair, there was nettings and kind of a cage up in the ceiling, and there was these carnivorous flying creatures. I forget what they were called. Al, do you remember the
no.
Screaming something darkness?
Can't get Minox out of my head now.
Can't get what?
Minox.
Minox, yeah, not Minox. Yeah, no, these are flying. I forget what they're called. Okay, anyway, they're these carnivorous things, and Mosep kind of toyed with Orin, said, you don't need to worry. We've already fed them today. You know, they've eaten enough today or whatever. But as they're about to lead Orin off to be punished, to be tortured, we did find out that Ben, when Annalene and they all saw Orin, now Orin didn't see them, but they saw him, and they decided, what's he doing here? He's not supposed to be here. Is something wrong? They were going to go find out. Now Ben has the presence of mind to, you guys stay here. I'll go check and see what's, see if everything's fine. And he convinces them to stay behind. So Ben has said that he would go check on him, and we haven't heard from Ben since. Now at this point, as they're about to lead off Orin for torture, suddenly this figure starts rattling in the cages and jumping around up top. There's a big square cut out of the cages, and the big carnivorous flying things, they fly out. They're attacking the gangsters. And Orin doesn't see anything. He just sees a shadowed figure jumping and leaping and doing all this kind of ninja-like work. It's pretty sweet. And he's in effect saving Orin, because these carnivorous creatures are feeding on the gangsters there. Poor Mosep is covered, and he's like falling under debris. I think a Gamorrean eventually falls on him, breaking his ribs or something like that. Now Orin's left. Ben takes off, and Orin's left there alone with no captors, so he can leave now. But of course, he goes over to the credits table because Mosep was there counting a bunch of credits, and Orin fills his pockets with the credits. I mean, you're going to steal from the people that were about to torture you for not very smart. Anyway, it's an interesting way of showing us the depth of Orin's character, because we know there's some mystery. Why did he borrow money from Jabba to begin with? That's not a very smart thing to do anyway. So there's more we need to know, but we know that he's somebody who's tried to help his community, but at the same time, he's willing to sacrifice things or massacre the Sand People for to keep things going. He's willing to steal again here, stuffing his pockets with credits. It is an interesting moment at the end of the chapter when he's leaving, and he hears Mosep calling out, and Mosep calls out, weakly from underneath the Gamorrean. He says, "Hello." Orin stopped dead in the sound of the voice. From underneath the Gamorrean, Mosep moaned, "Is someone out there? I believe I'm fractured." I
just love the terminology he used.
I know. I believe I'm fractured. "I didn't do this, Mosep," Orin said, forgetting the credits, edging towards the door. "I'm just a businessman." Stopping in the doorway, Orin calculated for a moment, then turned. with a strong heave. So he was about to leave Mosep there, buried under the Gamorrean, fractured and everything like that. And he says, with a calculation. So he doesn't come back out of a good heart, or, you know, these are the people who are going to torture him anyway. He comes back hoping that maybe he can earn some credit with them by shaving him. So he says, stopping in the doorway, Oren calculated for a moment, then turned with a strong heave. He rolled the Gamorrean off Mosep's body. The Nimbanel gasped for air. Weakly, Mosep turned his head to the right. Seeing the mess, he sighed. I am beginning to think this particular trap is ill-conceived, with the carnivorous flying things up there. He looked back at Oren. You have my gratitude, the accountant wheezed, still prone. And anything else? Oren asked, clutching his sides to hide the currency bulging in his pockets. 24 hours, Mosep beheld the room. I expect I'll have some remodeling bills to pay before Jabba returns. Oren gave the room a last look and ran. So he's not getting any breaks. It's still 24 hours. That's all you get. That's, you know. So a really good place, you know, end a chapter again with the tension. Now we've got Oren running out of the building, so we know what's going to happen in our next chapters, because, you know, there Annalene and Jabe and Callie were clearly watching, you know, to see what was going down, watching the building he was taken to. So good tension. Some things are, you know, possibly about to come to light. You know what's going on here. That ends up our chapter 3 for tonight. Al, you have any words on that while I'm looking up chapters for next week?
No
comments or anything that.
Like I said, just an intriguing mystery of what Oren is up to. Why is he measuring the claim? There's got to be some bigger deal behind this than just trying to extend his moisture farming capability.
Yeah. I think so. We have here, we don't have too much left in the book, but I think it's best to divide it into 2 weeks rather than just try and do the whole entire chunk again. So I'm thinking we should read for next week between chapter 34 and chapter 40. So 34 to 40.
So through 40.
Then 34. Yeah, through chapter 40. And we'll stop before chapter 41. That's a good stopping place too, knowing what's coming up and everything like that. And that gives us 2 weeks now too to go ahead and decide on the next book to do. I'm still undecided. I was supposed to do all kind of work for getting a poll out or whatever, and just never did any of it. So I do still have the possibilities. I think I'm trying to find things that'll be accessible to people, you know, as it gets farther in, or when there's a really good idea about something that's kind of relevant, you know, and like this book, I really want to do this book because everybody's like, oh, Disney's doing a Kenobi series. I'm like, oh, they're not going to do it right. So let's do the one that the EU gave us, you know? And I don't think there's anything going on right now that is relevant for that. There is the next book that comes into this, which is the Dark Lord, the Rise of the Dark Lord, or Darth Vader's story, which is kind of the next book in the continuity there of the EU, which is the, you know, Darth Vader becoming, you know, he's already Darth Vader. Anakin's become Darth Vader at the end of episode 3. The one I sent you. Yeah. So that's a possibility. There are some ones that are kind of big deals though, that people, you know, people have mentioned Darth Plagueis a few times in the chat. You know, that's a famous one. The Darth Bane trilogy, you know, these are all that kind of take place before episodes 1, 2, and 3, but then there are ones, you know, eventually I'll get to, you know, post original trilogy as well, and we'll revisit Mara and Luke and all those as well, you know, eventually. But I like to jump around a bit. So yeah, I'm going to do a poll at some point. I want it to be I want to put the poll in a place and encourage people who are going to hopefully primarily buy the book and read along with us. You know, those are the people I really want to vote, or people who are at least going to plan on tuning in just to hear us talk about the story. If you just want it for whatever reason, you just want to ruin it for yourself and not read it, you know. But at least it's just raising awareness of the great stories that are in the EU. So yeah, I'm putting together that list of things. We'll figure that out. I also have a video that I've been waiting for another book or two to come in, but, you know, I've been building and working on my own EU library, and there are some stipulations I have for it. I wanted to have as many hardcover books as I can that of things that were released in hardcover, and I wanted no legends whatsoever. There's one paperback legends book in my library right now that I've got the hardcover on its way to replace, you know, of the old classics. So if I can get that in like tomorrow or something, I might go ahead and do it. But I wanted to start doing a series of videos just kind of highlighting some cool things in my EU library as I build the collection. You know, some cool things for people that are thinking about building their own library, or just some people to get a idea of the outlooks and everything like that. So it's a video or two coming up.
It'll be a neat little quick read, like a
Mhm.
2-3 week Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Yeah, that's not really. I mean, it's kind of EU. It's called, everything's called Legends now, but it's not really EU continuity. It was the story that
I don't know.
maybe happened. Alan D. Forrester's
I
story
would say,
instead of
like I
Empire.
said, yeah, something maybe like just a palate cleanser or something. Just an idea.
Maybe I
Just
don't really have. Yeah, I don't have any interest in doing it just yet, but it's a good story, so it's good to check in every now and then or whatever. So that's keep in mind, definitely. And the Samuel Proctor says, when are you going to jump back after the Thrawn trilogy? Yeah, we're going to get there. That's what I was just saying. I mean, we could do Jedi Academy, or something like that. Kevin Anderson. We could do Dark Empire. I'm probably just going to do a video on Dark Empire because it's just a graphic novel, and then the Dark Empires 2 and 3 and whatever, they're just graphic novels, so you can't really do book studies of them. We should probably do a video talking about them. But Casey Scott said these book studies definitely made me pick up the EU. Never read them before. Yeah, cool, awesome. That's really good to hear. That's kind of what they're for. At the very least, bring up awareness, but if nothing else, just get people into reading them. So
every time I hear the title Jedi Academy, I keep thinking of like an '80s teen romp.
No, not that.
To Jedi Academy.
Fast Times at Jedi Academy. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Nope. It's Luke, founding the new Jedi Order there at the Academy and training, his niece and nephew and all that stuff. So, but tomorrow night over on the Fan Man's channel, the three of us will be there. He's starting a new show over there, which is like the successor to his Fan Man Tonight, which he's calling Fan Man and His Fantastic Friends. So that's happening tomorrow night on Fan Man's channel. What time did he say? What did he set up for? Do you remember?
8:00 Eastern Standard.
8:00.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
that's what he said.
Wait, he likes to push it earlier. But all right, 8:00's good. I'm just not going to be able to be on for like hours on end, but it'll be fun. He's got some really cool topics. Obviously, there was some good news. Certain comic arenas and everything like that happening this week. Don't worry, comics are still dead, and it's not suddenly reborn. But some really good news did come out. Some cool things that are coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
He's got some cool ideas of things, just kind of geeky questions to ask each other and stuff like that. So it'll be fun just hearing the three of us hang out again. It's always, if you enjoyed a couple Fridays ago hearing the return of Office Hours on my channel for that special event, he'll be doing some of these on his channel on Friday nights. So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to shout out or announce or anything else?
Well, Saturday on Natters Network, we're going to be watching 1776.
Oh, that's right.
The musical about the writing of the Declaration. It's a real show with William Daniels, Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World.
Yeah, that's a classic, and that is yeah. So the now what are they calling it? You call it when you do it. You call
I call it
when it's on Netter's channel. Does Netter? Yes, and does Netter have an idea for it or name for it?
I'm trying to think of what it is.
She was in here earlier, but she might have taken off.
Cinema Classics or something like that.
Cinema Classics, yeah, something like that. That does sound familiar.
I've got Films with Friends. The next one I'm doing is next Saturday. Not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday. We'll be doing Glory, 1989.
Cool.
The Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, kind of just a little honoring of Black History Month, with a really good film and a really great story.
It's just a good history film. I'm just I like Civil War history, and it is no, I haven't really studied that era, so I can't tell you, but I've heard people say that it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few inaccuracies done for the sake of drama, and a few like logistical issues as far as the attack, but nothing huge, glaring, that would just very small little things, but nothing major.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, it's just they're taking what happened, kind of, it is dramatized, but it's based on the actual history. So
Wolfton Media says I would like to take part. Are you talking about Al's rewatch, the glory thing? Is that what you?
yeah,
I don't know
Wolf
what you
10,
mean.
if you want to come in glory, more than welcome to.
Yeah,
I'm officially inviting you.
yeah.
I
Come on,
I
join.
have
That'd be great. Yeah.
I haven't. If you have a Bitmoji, send it to me because I'll add you on the popcorn. That's
You are.
the new thing. I have the little popcorn right above the Films of Friends popcorn bucket. I have like 3 pieces of popcorn with our faces on it.
Al, you are roboting like anything, Decepticon.
Sorry,
So I think we're going to wrap it up. The signal's getting kind of bad. You've been getting a little worse and worse. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here.
fire Soundwave. Yeah,
But thank you guys. For, go
yeah,
ahead.
Wolf 10. Bing me on Messenger, please.
Okay. So thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight, and we will come back for those chapters that I mentioned up through chapter 40 next week, and I'll have some other content out and whatnot before then. But thanks for hanging out. Until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love best.
Bye.